من بيعوض القتلى من؟
If this is the question, first of all, if you believe that we are a crazy people who would kill themselves and their children, then you can ask such a question.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on over 30 cable stations from Vermont to New York City, on the internet at thestruggle.org, our YouTube channel, Struggle Video Media. This is our 600th program. We've been broadcasting weekly, steadily, since 2003. I'm going to read a few sentences from a newspaper op-ed by Orly Azuli. It's called Saboteurs of Obama's Foreign Policy. Analysis. Government officials in Washington are rubbing their eyes in disbelief. Never before has a representative of a foreign government tried to burn down a president's political power base from under his feet. Battalions of Jewish leaders, rabbis, lobbyists, and political donors working on Netanyahu's behalf have been dashing from point to point on Capitol Hill in order to rally Democratic lawmakers against their sitting president. The mission they were given? Trip up Obama's foreign policy. Now, the very interesting thing about this is that it didn't appear in a U.S. paper, but in an Israeli newspaper, and not the liberal Haaretz, but the very centrist Yedioth Aharonot. Not everyone in Israel wants war with Iran. We'll link to it in our Palestine-Israel archive. Obama did Israel an immense favor, making sure Iran cannot develop a nuclear bomb. And as Azuli points out, Obama has given the Israeli government more military aid and U.S. intelligence than any U.S. president. And now he allows Pollard, who spied for Israel against the U.S., freedom from prison. And how does the Israeli government repay this? It has the gall to demand no deal with Iran except abject surrender. As Obama has pointed out, this is a call for war. Now, we again have more advice for the rulers of Iran. If you want to reduce chances of U.S. attack against Iran, do something about your image. Last week, we advised you to stop killing Syrians. This week, the golden tip: stop killing Iranians. Amnesty International reports that over 700 Iranians have been executed by the Iranian government, far more than even Saudi Arabia. Most of the executions are for drug offenses, but as Amnesty International points out, for years Iranian authorities have used the death penalty to spread a climate of fear in a misguided effort to combat drug trafficking. Yet there is not a shred of evidence to show that this is an effective method of tackling crime. Now to the Saudi-U.S. war on Yemen.
كلها هنا كامل حوالي هنا في السكن سبع ضربات، وفي سكن ثاني جنب المحطة هناك ضربوا 2 صواريخ. هنا صاروخ هنا فوق المبنى ذا هنا ضربة صاروخ من فوق السكن ذا
قتلوا ناسهم؟
هنا كلهم زي ما تشوفي زي ذا الحالة هنا في ناس بيعيشوا
ايوه
ما فيش كلهم الذي هنا كلهم كله دمر
لقوا جثثهم
خرجوا جثث ايوه خرجوا هنا جثث
كم واحد؟
وحصلوا يدات ريوس مش اثار ما عليه كثير
ايه
الذي حصلوا الراس حصلوا من هنا من البيت والذي
الجمعة مساء الساعة تقريبا 10 إلا ربع مساء فإذا يعني بالصواريخ تنهال عليهم كذا عمدا بدون أي مقدمات وبدون حتى يعني لا ندري ما السبب ذهلنا يعني بشكل فظيع جدا لم نتوقع إطلاقا أن يتم استهداف هذه المدينة السكنية المليئة بالأطفال المليئة بالنساء المليئة بالموظفين 60 شخص قتلوا واستشهدوا بداخل المدينة السكنية.
أنا كنت بالراع.
اوكي
الراع كان أمي هنا أمي وأخواني الصغار. أنا لقيت أول ضربة ضربني بالحالة هذه. ثاني ضربة ضربني بالبيت. لقيت أنا أجري. لقيت أمي وأخي الصغير هنا. أختي الثالث كان مدفون هنا. لقيت أختي هنا مدفون. أسمع لها تصيح كصيف كحفر ندور هنا نبش. الآن مش الرواخ وغيبوبة. هذه عمارة سكان الموظفين تبع المحطة بس ناس مدنيين ايوه اشعد يعني قصفوها طائرات بدون اي سبب.
والله نحن كنا الأسرة هنا كامل هنا أنا كنت وابني الصغير كان صغير يعني معي طفل صغير حوالي عمره 1.5 سنة وزوجتي ومعي بنت برضو كبير وابن كبير هنا سقط هذا الدرب لا فوقنا.
شكرا. وبنتك ماتت؟
أيوة بنتي ماتت وابنها.
من بيعوض القتلى من؟ استخبينا هنا استخبينا هنا قومت على البنات كلهم هنا في هذا المكان خبيتهم هنا دخلت بعد كذا تفكر الضربة الثانية الصاروخ الثاني افتكت الأبواب كلها شوفي شوف ما فيش باب هذا احنا رديناه هذا ما فيش باب ولا طيقان ولا ما فيش عازل دخلت الأولاد هنا هذه بيت قاري ما فيش كان هذا هو الدار هذه هي الحرب القذرة هذه بيتي السلام كان يحم هنا الفرحة والبسمة الأطفال كانت هنا انتهت راحت نتيجة الحرب أنا أشر له قلت لك أنا أملك قلم أنا مهندس أنا فني أنا محاسب بس أنا أملك هذا القلم أعطوني قلم هذا القلم أنا أملك هذا الذي أملكه أنا ما أملكش بندقية لا أؤمن بالبندقية لا أؤمن بالقتل ليش؟
Take a look at this picture. This man lost 27 members of his family because of a Saudi bombing about a month ago. A Saudi-U.S. bombing, I should say, because Saudi targeting is coordinated by U.S. military men. In May, U.S. News and World Report said Washington is deeply involved in supporting the RSAF. Without U.S. help, the Saudis simply could not sustain the air campaign. I did an audio interview this week with a man named Ahmed, a Yemeni coordinator of a group of peace activists. He says Yemenis know full well that the U.S. assists the Saudis in targeting. We also talk about Saudi Al-Qaeda cooperation in southern Yemen. To hear the report, go to our website and click on podcasts. This photo is of what remains in the home in Duma where the Palestinian baby Ali was burned to death, and where 3 others in his family are so far surviving with terrible burn injuries. It's been over a week now, and no one's been arrested for the crime. It seems the case is slipping from public view. We here at TSVN have not heard of any Israeli press conference on the progress of the investigation. Compare that to what happened last summer when 3 Israeli youths were kidnapped. The entire West Bank was turned over looking for them, and Israeli media reported every bit of news or rumor hourly. There was this development on August 4th. According to the Middle East Monitor, soldiers stormed into the burned house in Duma and confiscated some of the family's possessions under the pretext of completing the investigation into the arson attack. They did this investigating at 2 a.m., 2 o'clock in the morning. They also broke into a number of houses and shops located in the vicinity of that home, and they confiscated all the recordings they found in any surveillance cameras. In Connecticut, we've been using some of the disgust over the latest killing to start a campaign to get the state government to divest its holdings of $32 million of Israeli bonds and stocks. See our website for details. August 21st is the second anniversary of the Sarin gas attack in Ghouta, Syria, that killed some 1,500 persons. Shortly after the attack, Amy Goodman interviewed Razan Zaitouna, a Syrian human rights lawyer and activist. Here's a portion of it that also includes some comments by journalist Patrick Coburn.
The United Nations is pressing Syria to allow UN inspectors immediate access to investigate allegations a deadly chemical weapons attack took place Wednesday on the outskirts of Damascus. Syrian rebels say government forces fired rockets laden with poison gas canisters into rebel-held neighborhoods. The government of Bashar al-Assad has denied responsibility. The alleged attack occurred just days after UN inspectors arrived in the country to investigate previous attacks said to have involved poison gas. Estimates of the death toll from the alleged attack on Wednesday range anywhere from 100 to up to 1,600. Video posted on YouTube this week shows frantic scenes of overwhelmed hospitals, dead children, and countless bodies. To find out more about the situation in Syria, we're joined by 2 guests. Razan Zaitouna is in Syria, lawyer, human rights activist. She works with the Human Rights Violation Documentation Center. In 2011, she was co-recipient of the European Parliament's Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought. Patrick Coburn is a longtime Middle East correspondent for the London Independent. He just returned from Syria last month. His most recent article for the Independent is called "The Evidence of Chemical Attack Seems Compelling, but remember there's a propaganda war on." He's joining us via Democracy Now! Video stream from Ireland. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! I want to turn first to Syria. I want to turn first to talk about what actually is happening in the area of the alleged chemical attack, Razan Zaitouna, which is where you are. Tell us what you saw.
Thank you. First of all, just let me explain a bit about our area. This liberated East Ghouta is being shelled every day from air and land and under brutal siege for more than 10 months. No electricity, no communications. Hospitals and other facilities are using generators only when there is a fuel. All medications have expired or were run out time ago. This siege prevented locals get even any bread. With all these terrible human conditions, the regime launched a chemical attack on civilians 2 days ago. At the beginning, we thought that it's like the previous times. that there will be only dozens of injured cases and number of murders. But we were surprised by the great numbers which the medical points received during only the first half of hour following the shelling. Things started to become clearer after that. Hours later, we started to visit the medical points in Ghouta, to where injured were removed. And we couldn't believe our eyes. I haven't seen such death in my whole life. People were lying on the ground, in hallways, on roadsides, in hundreds. There haven't been enough medical staffs to treat them. There is not enough medications for more serious cases. They were just to choose to whom they will give the medication because there is no medication for everybody. Even doctors were crying because they couldn't help the injured people because the lack of the medication and oxygen. The paramedics were telling us how they were breaking in doors and houses in Jamaica and in Tarma where the shelling took place, and get inside and find a whole families dead in their beds. Most of the children didn't make it. In cemeteries which we visited, victims were buried in mass graves, 15 or 20 dead bodies in every grave, because the large number of injured people. People were also there was hysterical between the people. Families are searching for their children. People were searching for their children in every town in Ghouta. Children in the medical points were crying and asking for their parents.
Ghazan, how do you know who was responsible for the attack?
If this is the question, first of all, if you believe that we are a crazy people who would kill themselves and their children, then you can ask such a question.
Did you, since you were in the area, was there any physical evidence that you saw that the government was responsible for this?
That the rockets which was used for the chilling coming from the regime forces, it's clear there is no doubt about it. And why wondering? The Syrian regime killed hundreds of people when the Arab Observer's mission was there, and they turned a blind eye to it. So what made you think that after 100,000 victims and after all the crimes committed by the regime is not able to do anything to stay in power?
Let me bring Patrick Coburn into this conversation. You returned from Syria about a month ago. What is your assessment of what has taken place, these gruesome videos that we're seeing on YouTube?
Yeah, they're compelling and convincing. What's extraordinary is, you know, as we've just heard, that the area is sealed off and is being bombarded with artillery. Why should they suddenly shift to chemical weapons, which is to kill people, when this is the one thing most likely to lead to foreign intervention? That seems pretty extraordinary. It's not an argument they didn't do it, but I do find that very strange.
Patrick Coburn continued to express some questions along that line. Zaytuna answered.
Actually, I want just to ask why the regime would care about not using the chemical weapons when it knows that the international community would not do anything about it, like it didn't nothing about all the previous crimes the regime committed against its people. The international community doesn't concerned about making any move to get rid of this criminal regime. The regime knows that Obama's red line are just a big fat lies. So why the regime would care not to use the chemical weapons or any kind of weapons to stop the progress of the Syrian Free Army from the capital Damascus?
Patrick Coburn.
Well, I don't think, you know, what happened, I don't know. I doubt if the government in Damascus is quite as sure as that there won't be foreign intervention. I don't think they're 100% sure. that's why it makes this event still perplexing.
As you know, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other counter-revolutionaries are also active in Syria. Razan Zaitouna and her husband and 2 other colleagues were kidnapped, presumably by counter-revolutionaries, in December 2013 and have not been heard from since. The UN Human Rights Council concluded that the sarin gas came from Assad government supplies. Though there's been some criticism of UN and Human Rights Watch reports by serious people like Seymour Hersh and Ted Postel, the Syrian revolutionaries have no doubt that Assad forces committed the crime. On Friday, August 21st, and on that weekend, there will be demonstrations remembering the chemical attacks all over the world and the now 300,000 people who have been killed in Syria. Watch our website for news of East Coast U.S. events. Last month, renowned climate scientist James Hansen warns that the UN may be underestimating the danger. In a new report, he says that sea levels could rise 10 feet within just 50 years. Goodbye, Manhattan. Last week we showed a bit of the New Haven Climate March. Several of the marchers were concerned with one very immediate New Haven safety and climate issue.
And we're here at the Climate March in New Haven. We represent a group called StopTweed.org, or Voters Opposed to Tweed Expansion. We're worried about the expansion of Tweed Airport, and they're going to try to quadruple, maybe make 5 times as many flights come out of New Haven that come out more than that come out now. We're very worried about the impact on the climate, the impact on the local environment. We're already seeing an impact from the wildlife fence that they put in, and the city is trying to trumpet this, Yale is trying to push this, and nobody wants it. Do we have the sign with the... This sign here is a good approximation of the neighborhood that we live in. Those houses are way too close to the airport already. We've had a tragedy before, and it could happen again. Even if it doesn't, we're the ones who are going to be having all that smoke and all that pollution in our faces. The city is trying to push air transportation as a fake sustainable option. It's not. It's going to create more greenhouse gases as well, no matter what kind of numbers they try to push, and we're going to be dealing with the health impact, the environmental impact locally as well. So we're very worried about this. We want to make sure that initiatives like Go New Haven Go and all of these fake, greenscaping, these fake campaigns are actually paying attention to their backyard, where we're going to have more planes going up. So, and this is the website and our little slogans here. So we want to make sure we keep things in perspective.
In Connecticut, the biggest carbon dioxide producer by far is this coal-to-electricity plant at Harbor Station in Bridgeport. It shot over 900,000 tons of the gas into the air last year. The City Council of Bridgeport has called for the plant's closing, but still it puffs away, producing its invisible but ultimately deadly greenhouse gas. To help us survive the grim news of the day, some satire from Apartheid Adventures.
Some people insist there is apartheid in Israel. Some people insist there is no apartheid in Israel. We say, what are you trying to put us out of business? Of course there's apartheid in Israel. That's why we love it. When you go to Israel, if you're of the correct ethnic religious category, you're special. More than 50 laws discriminate in your favor. At Apartheid Adventures, we call this your apartheid advantage. Go anywhere while others stand in line. Build a house anywhere. Can they? Of course not. Walk into their houses and take them over. Towns where only you and your ethnic religious group are allowed to live. Roads where only you and your your ethnic religious group are allowed to drive. Schools where students of your ethnic religious group get 3 times the funding of anyone else. Apartheid is defined as institutionalized discrimination, or any system or practice that separates people according to race, caste, etc., or an institutionalized regime of systematic oppression and domination by one racial group over any other racial group or groups, and committed with the intention of maintaining that regime. And Israel's got them all, waiting for you. Separation gets serious, even though this is not a wall, it's mainly an electrified fence. Discrimination, 50 laws that discriminate in favor of you if you're of the correct ethnic religious category. Maintaining the regime, we're on it. Israel has the 4th strongest army in the world and has 11,000 of those who are not in the correct ethnic religious category in prison, including hundreds of children, because remember, those children deserved it. Our soldiers in the West Bank are making new arrests daily, and in fact, even when there's no threat or nothing going on, our soldiers make mock arrests anyway, just to keep in practice. We're not making this up. When you're in Israel, if you're of the correct ethnic religious category, your ethnic privilege is legally guaranteed, and we can back that up. Israel, where apartheid is not just a good idea, it's the law.
That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller, and this is The Struggle.